Hello, everybody. I'm Melissa, and welcome back to Book Bar, and welcome to another Trope Tuesday recommendation video. Today, I'm doing workplace romances. So, since I don't have a workplace, I figured perfect opportunity to talk about some fun workplace romances with some fun workplace tension. There are no single dad nanny romances on this. That, technically is workplace, but I consider it a little different. There is a few boss employee romances, but no single dad nanny. So just a caveat there, I could probably do a whole trope recommendation just on single dad nanny, but for now, this is just strictly like they work in the same place, or they're someone's a boss, someone's an employee. We're just gonna get right on into it with the first one, and that is Last Call at the Local by Sarah Grunder Ruiz. This one is for the character girls because this is very much like a character day-to-day life romance, more so than like has a big plot. This follows Jack and Rain. I actually read it for Reading January New Releases. I'll have that vlog up there. But Jack he owns a bar. He has very mixed feelings about owning this bar due to some trauma in his past. He also has very severe OCD that comes with very intrusive thoughts. And one day, Rain comes into this bar. It's just like a very dive bar type place. Very divey. There's not a whole lot going on. And like the bartender's very grumpy and gruff. And so she goes into this bar after having a horrible day. All of her things got stolen from her. And she starts talking to this guy that's there, and turns out that that's Jack, him and his brother own this bar. His brother was the grumpy bartender, and he offers her a job because she kind of explains to him like what she would do to make the bar better, and he offers her a job to make the bar a little more friendly, a little less divey, and a little more like welcoming. So it's more of like their day-to-day and trying to stay away from each other, but they just can't. And I had a great time with it. So that's why I am suggesting it. Next up, we have Beyond the Thistles by Samantha Young. This is the first book in the Highlands series by Samantha Young, which is a spin-off of the Adair series, but you can read them out of order. But you will want to go back and read the Adair family, because I started with Beyond the Thistles, and then I went back and read the Adair family. I binged it because I needed to know these characters. But you could totally read it and not be confused at all. But this follows Sloane and Walker, and they both work at Ardnock in two separate places. Sloane is a housekeeper at Ardnock Estate, and Walker is in security. He had been brought in from the last book in the Adair family. He was his personal security, and then when Broden decided to give up being an actor, he was offered a job at Ardnock. And Sloane is running away from someone horrible in the United States, and she knows someone who like helps. I can't think of what Aria's position is, but Aria Howard, who is book 2 in the Highland series, she knows her family from some stuff in California, and they offer her a position as a housekeeper to get out to escape what is happening in California. And Walker is very like timid and shy towards Sloane at first. Like he's very gruff and grumpy. And Sloane is a single mom, and she just bakes all these treats for him, and he says he doesn't like sweets, but then he's always buying them. So it was really, really cute. And he would eat them. Like he really did like sweets. He just wanted to say he didn't, but it was adorable. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. Obviously. Most of these are 4 to 5 stars usually. I don't really recommend books that I don't give 5 stars to unless I believe it's a book that I think is actually a fairly good book. It didn't work for me. So sometimes that does happen. But for the most part, every book I recommend is either going to be a 4 or a 5 star. Then I have The Romance Recipe by Barrett. This is a sapphic boss employee and kind of boss. Well, so Amy owns a restaurant, and her head chef is Sophie, and it was just like, I'm trying to think. I don't remember if it was a bi-awakening or if they both were out. I don't remember that, but I really enjoyed it. Amy is very like micromanaging, and Sophie is like frustrated and like had enough. And they finally decide to, I think Amy has always kind of thought Sophie was hot, and they decide to act on those feelings, and it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Then I have Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This is this follows Part of Your World, so you don't have to read them in order. I mean, obviously you could read this without reading Part of Your World, but Part of Your World is amazing, and you do see Brianna and like what had happened to her in her marriage in Part of Your World. So this follows Brianna and Jacob has like crazy anxiety, and Brianna is up to being like the next head of like emergency surgery or something like that. Some sort of like, she's like the next head, like supposed to be the next head doctor. Well, Jacob gets hired at the hospital, and she believes that he's there to take her job. That is not true. Jacob wants nothing to do with it. He just needs a fresh start. And so they get off on the wrong foot, and he writes her a letter because he like isn't good with expressing himself verbally. So he it's like, I'm just going to write her a letter and tell her what's going on. And they start writing letters back and forth. It was adorable. They, I think, there's fake dating in this because his brother is marrying his ex, and he needs to like show his family he's okay. And so he is like, we're good. I just want this to be over with. So they fake date. There are a few other tropes in here that I know people don't love, so do look those up if you want. I'm not going to say anything because they are spoilers, but I absolutely adored this. I actually think I liked it more than Part of Your World, but I don't know. I will do a reread of both this year to see which one is my favorite of the two. But yeah, fantastic. Next up, we have Always Practice Safe Hex. This is a paranormal romance it's the 4th book in the Stay a Spell series, which you should read this series in order because it does give you context into things. So this follows Gareth and Libby, and they are both interns at a PR firm, and they're in a competition, and they're grouped together in this competition, and Libby wants to so they have to do help raise money for certain supernatural things, and Livy wants to help the werewolves because if you've read the other books, you know what is going on, what her sisters have done to help this cause. And Gareth wants to help supernatural orphans because he was one and was raised in a horrible situation. So this follows their romance. It's very enemies to lovers. You learn what Grims are, and it was absolutely fantastic. I loved it so much. Each book in the series, I felt like got better and better and better, and this one was no exception. But I really enjoyed this, and you really learn about what Grims are, because you've seen them in the background, but they're very secretive, and they don't talk to people. They don't talk about what they are and what they do, what their powers are, but you do learn in this. And Gareth might have a little monster inside of him that just knows Livy is meant to be with him. So yeah, fantastic. Next, I have an older one, and this is Coldhearted Boss by R.S. Gray. This follows Taylor and Ethan, and Taylor and Ethan met one night at a bar, and they got off on the very wrong foot. And then Ethan is in town. He's a billionaire, land developer. He's in town to build this giant mall. Taylor pretends to be a boy, pretends to be a man, to get on the construction site and to work there because they're going to basically live there, work there, do all the things. And I don't know, misogyny, women aren't allowed to do it. I don't know why. I don't remember exactly why, but she pretends to be a man so that she can because it's good work. And I don't remember exactly why she needed to get away from home, but she did. And Ethan quickly learns who she is, and he thinks that she's there. He thinks she's there to steal from him because she might have done that when they met at the beginning. Sorry, as I'm talking about it, it's coming back to me. I read it 2 or 3 years ago, so it's been a while. But yeah, I absolutely adored this. It was fantastic. I'd probably, like, I kind of want to reread it just to see if I still, like, feel that way, but I did love it. I remember. I think I cried while reading it, so, you know it's a good book when I cry. Then this one is a little different, but it is still technically they are coworkers. This is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan and Josiah and Jasmine. No, Josiah and Yasmin, switched up the Y and the J. Josiah and Yasmin are a divorced couple, and they own a restaurant together, Grits, in Atlanta, or the Atlanta area, and they share 2 children. Yasmin doesn't do a lot in the restaurant, but she does technically still own it, and Josiah is there all the time, and it's been a couple years since they got divorced, but they quickly realize that their feelings are still there, but they had gone through some very traumatic things, and they need to work through all of that, and their children are, like, not handling their divorce that great, especially their daughter. She's been lashing out at Yasmin, and they need to realize, like, they need to work together as a family, and of course things are going to happen from there, and they're going to realize that they still have major love for each other. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. It was a great time. Very emotional. Of course, as most Kennedy Ryan books are, but I just love Kennedy Ryan, and anytime I can recommend a book of hers, I am going to do it. So, I mean, technically, you could say the Grip trilogy is also workplace, because Bristol is Grip's manager, but yeah, this one, I would say is more workplace because they both own the restaurant together. Next, I have another boss employee romance, and this is Under the Stars by Laura Pavlov. This follows Georgie and Maddox, and Georgie is the youngest of the, why can't I think of their family? The Reynolds family, like the youngest sibling. And she gets a job as an assistant for a owner of a publishing house. And Georgie really likes to read. Maddox is very grumpy, very grumpy. And she calls him boss man. He calls her Tink because she's very, like, Tinkerbelly and just absolutely adorable. I love this. The daughter, why can't I think of his name? Cage, I think is his name. Cage's daughter, Katie. I think it's Katie. I could be wrong. I could be mixing up my children. She calls Maddox boss man also. And it is just absolutely adorable. She goes, my boss man? So cute. He, like, I wouldn't say it's a grovel, but there's, like, a grand gesture moment at the end that if a man ever did that for me, I'd be putty in his hands. Like, I'd be a puddle on the floor. He'd be mine forever. Like, I love this so much. This is the second book in the Cottonwood Cove series. You don't have to read them in order, but as with all interconnected standalones, it's just more fun when you do. But this is the second book, and this might be my second favorite. I know this is another series I want to, like, revisit this year and, like, really go down my put down my rankings, but I love this so much. Then we have Pulling Doubles by Christina C. Jones. This is the second book in the Wright Brothers series. Again, totally could be read as standalones. These I don't even, like, there's barely any of the, actually she might be best friends with the heroine from book 1. But this follows Devin and Joseph. And Joseph is a doctor at a hospital, and he's very mean and grumpy and just is not nice to Devin at all. Devin is a nurse practitioner. Or she's like the top nurse. So, and she's like, no, this is not going to go this way. You're going to be nice to me. I do a lot. So stop with this foolishness. And he's like, you learn. He was kind of grumpy towards her because he was interested in her, and he just didn't want, I don't know what is happening with my hair. He just didn't want to muddy the waters at all. So yeah, I absolutely adored this one. I don't know. I think book 1 is my favorite, but this one was also fantastic. Had a great time with it. Then the last one is going to be Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This one is a YA historical, slight fantasy romance with very minimal romance. I would say, no, the romance is pretty heavy. This is a historical slight fantasy. Like, there's a little bit of fantastical element to it with the gods. Like, there is, so it's basically like historical World War I time. And instead of it being World War I, it is two gods fighting. And Iris, her brother, has been, he's going to fight in this war. So she lives with her mom, who has spiraled since her brother left. And she needs to get it. She had promised she would finish school. She ended up not. She goes and gets a job working for a newspaper. And there she has a rival other columnist, Kit. And one day Iris just keeps writing letters to her brother. Keeps writing them. She has this typewriter. And she's just writing letters to her brother, kind of making things seem like they're better than they are. Or maybe she is telling the truth. I don't exactly remember what the letters were, but she's writing these letters. And turns out that the typewriter she's writing on is magical. And there's these 3 typewriters that if you write a letter, it goes to one of the owners of the other typewriters. Well, one of the typewriters is like in a museum, and Kit happens to have the other typewriter. He knows who Iris is pretty quickly, and Iris doesn't know for a while, which does cause point of contention, but then, yeah, I really enjoyed this. I am still haven't read the second book. I need to. That will determine, like, really what my final rating is. Right now, I gave it a 4-star, but it could go to 5 if the second half is fantastic, but I've heard mixed things, so I'm, like, nervous. So, yeah, that is my 10th recommendation for workplace romances. Now, of course, no recommendation video is complete without me having books on my TBR. So I have 4 books on my TBR for workplace romances. The first one is, I'm not 100% sure if this is workplace, but is Luck and Last Resorts by Grunder Ruiz. So Last Call at the Local is actually part of a series. And book 2 in that series follows Jack's brother and his wife. And their dynamic had me wanting to find out more. So I think they work on a cruise ship together. So I am excited to get to that. Then I have The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. This is the first book in the Dreamland Billionaire series. I believe book 2 is also, because it's like Boss Assistant. But this is the first book in the series, and I do want to read it. So this follows Rowan and Zara. And I know Rowan he's one of the owners, and he needs to come up with a new, like, theme park idea or ride idea. That's part of his thing that he has to do. And Zara kind of gives him, like, ideas, but there's, like, a hidden identity. I don't know, but I'm excited to get to it. So I don't know a ton about it, but yeah, I'm excited to read this. So this is on my TBR. Then I'm exposing myself a little bit here. I have Take a Hit, Danny Brown, as well as Actor Age, Eve Brown. Both of them are on my TBR. I have not read either of them yet. And they're both, like, workplace, I believe. I don't know if Take a Hit, Danny Brown is, but it was on a list. So, but I know Actor Age, Eve Brown is. But both of those are on my TBR. I read Get a Life, Chloe Brown, like 3 years ago now, and I just have not continued. So I need to prioritize those this year. That needs to be done. Then the last book on my TBR is The Fake Mate by Lana Ferguson. I read The Nanny last year, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm excited for The Fake Mate. It's like a Omegaverse and Fated Mates, obviously, I think. But it's like they pretend it, and then they realize quickly that they're actually fated. But I'm excited for it, and I believe they work together at a hospital, based off the cover. I could be wrong. But it was also on a list of workplace romances. So that is usually how I go down Goodreads and just look and see, and like which ones I have on my actual TBR. So yeah, those are the 10 books for workplace romances. I could probably do a whole another video on workplace romances. I really enjoy this trope, as well as Nanny Single Dad. I think I have quite a few of those too. So that might have to happen soon. But yeah, if you made it to the end of this video, leave me your favorite workplace romance, of course, but also leave me a castle emoji, because I'm pretty sure there is one. So because of Dreamland Billionaires, I don't know, I just feel like castle. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the fun stuff. It really helps me out, and I'll talk to you all in the next one. Bye.